David in California. Let's talk with you. Hi, David. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Hi. What can we help you with today?
I believe I have heard that you are a determinist. Is that correct?
You have heard that I have serious doubts about the concept of libertarian free will, and that's about it. I think determinism is just as viable an option as free will.
Okay. But I mean, because I've been looking into like neuroscience and things like that, and I have a question because I feel like I am leaning towards determinism.
Okay.
But I also, think that, I can have some maybe not free will, but like I have some choice because like I understand that like the synapses and, there's processes behind why I do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also like catch myself doing those things and then like stop it and reroute to something else. You know what I mean? So it's like,
maybe that's another trait that you've got built in. Like that's just another part of your brain that tells you to sometimes question what you're doing and do the opposite thing. Like you kind of feel like, oh, I was going to do this anyway, but actually I'm not going to because I've heard that some people think they have free will and I'm going to exercise my free will by not doing what I wanted to do. But that's just another part of your brain being like, sometimes I like to do the opposite of what I want to do.
Well, yeah, I guess, I mean, it's not necessarily that I'm like making a choice and then I'm like, oh, no, I'm actually going to do something else because, screw determinism or whatever. But
screw determinism.
I'm just going to flip the table. Why not? Like,
but like, so like, when I have things that like trigger me and I get mad and, I know that's just my brain reacting in a certain way. And I've worked with myself to not let that happen. It's not letting the animalistic part of my brain take over and make me go into this other thing. I'm like trying to train my brain. So when that trigger comes up, I consciously not have that happen and control how I react. I mean, does that make sense?
I think maybe the point like that you're getting at here is like if it's all determined, then what's the point in trying to do it, I guess. Like say you have an angry response and maybe I'm just destined to always have an angry response, but like that's kind of not what it means, I guess. Like we could say that it's always predetermined that you were going to be an angry person 5 years ago and now you're going to be a person who's not as angry because you've worked on it. Maybe you didn't have a choice to choose to work on it, but that's kind of not really important because you are working to become, to react to anger less, and whether that was always going to be something that you did or not doesn't really matter. I don't know how well I've explained that, but like just because the concept of free will in general potentially doesn't exist, that doesn't mean you should stop trying to improve yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to say like I'm going to stop trying to improve myself because free will doesn't exist. I'm just wondering, like, I guess maybe I'm not wording it right. Like,
no, I did just kind of jump ahead there. I might have guessed what you were going to say. I'm sure you're wording it fine. Like, I didn't mean to put you off then.
No. I agree with what you're saying. It's just like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like it is determined for like, because of, past experiences and all of that. Like when something happens, this is how I'm, determined to react through, if I believe in determinism, but I can say, okay, that's where it's, should go if that's what has always happened, but I'm going to make the conscious effort to try and not let that happen. So like, am I really making that conscious effort to do that? And I understand you saying, well, maybe it's me like just reacting having, maybe I was always meant to have that reaction to that, but I don't know. I guess I feel like I want to always try and prove myself, and so that's like maybe that's why I'm doing it. I don't know.
I guess.
Well,
I guess when. Sorry, go on, Dave.
My question for you, and this is always an interesting conversation to have. I certainly am not the best person to have it with. I would definitely point you to either, Cosmic Skeptic did an episode on this recently, which is very interesting. But my takeaway is, you say, well, I can choose to do something differently because I want to be a better person, or I want to improve myself. Did you consciously choose that want to improve yourself? And can you control that want, right? Can you control the motivations that cause you to make choices? And I think if we ask that question, then we go back farther, and it kind of becomes this infinite regress of, okay, well, at what point does the free will come into play, right? And so I think that this is an interesting conversation to have. I guess my question for you is, how does this pertain to, or does it pertain to, questions around God or religion at all?
I mean, no, it doesn't really have anything to do with religion, I guess. I'm an atheist. I've been an atheist pretty much my whole life. I was born and raised in the Mormon religion, but it never stuck.
That's good.
Good.
It seems like a lot of that's going around. Utah's only about 60% Mormon now, and dropping
Really?
pretty quick. Yeah, apparently.
Isn't it like 99% at one point?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I would also point you to the Scientific American article called, let me see if I can find this, How a Flawed Experiment, quote unquote, Proved That Free Will Doesn't Exist. And this was published in 2019. It's very good. And it talks about the Lebet experiment from the 1980s. That's kind of the one that people point to disprove free will. That's actually been debunked, or at least sufficiently explained that now there are multiple theories as to why that experiment ran out the way it did. So I'd say I'm still on the fence on this issue, right? I don't know. I pointed to the Lebet experiment myself when I was more in that camp. I was like, well, look at this. This is clear. And now somebody's come along with another explanation of it, which is also compelling. So I know I have to do more research before I come to a conclusion. And as long as we keep doing that, I think we're fine. Yeah,
and definitely I'm always open to different, information, and keeping myself my views proportional to the evidence for it. So
perfect. Well, that's all we can ask. And whether or not we're in charge of it, I'm glad you got that down.
Yeah. I guess maybe one thing I'd add is with something like this, I try and consider what the actual underlying process that would allow it to happen could be, like right down into like beyond brain structure and stuff. Like so I guess kind of like, what are thoughts and what are decisions? Because if you've got like these synapses and they fire and they make you make decisions and stuff, and there's certain chemical levels in your brain, and you make one decision when the chemical level is this, and you make another decision when it's this, whatever. If the chemical levels are set in a certain way, then you like always make that decision, unless there's some kind of thing outside of the chemicals, like a soul, or a sort of a disembodied consciousness or something, which can override what the chemicals are doing, or it'll have some other like random element in it, like perhaps the way, like at quantum physics levels, or perhaps there's just a mechanism built in, which means sometimes it is random. Like if you were programming this, you might have like some variable which, if it's over 60 do this, and if it's under 60 do this, but you also have like a plus random determined by random heat in the universe or something. But like in order to have a decision, in order to like not be predictable, if it's based on like chemical levels or electrons or something, then it either needs a random element or it needs something else that can make decisions outside of that.
Yeah.
And it's either one of those could be true. I don't know enough about chemistry or physics or anything to claim whether there is or isn't a random element. But the soul angle, I'm not very convinced of. But And I just think they're that's kind of what you would need, because if you're someone who says, I know for a fact that we can predict electrons and photons, then good luck. But also, if you're someone who says, and I also don't believe in souls, then kind of what's left? What could free will be?
Right. Yeah, it's definitely, it has implications for larger worldviews, certainly.
Yeah.
But at this point, we just don't know well enough, and that's okay. All right. Thanks so much for calling in, David. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I enjoy you guys, and thank you for everything you do.
Of course. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks.